There's something wrong here. When I go to do a video, as soon as I look at myself and the camera here, I start to get emotional. Maybe this is why for years I've made videos not looking directly at the camera. Ever. I'm gonna try that. Of course, that just feels more lonely. I got things on my mind, but right now I'm thinking about Jesus. I'm assuming that the comment about Jesus loves you, and Jesus whatever. I can't remember what the comment was. But recently, maybe 3 times, maybe in the last year, 15 or 30 times, I've made videos where I say what happened on Easter 2018. Easter morning, my daughter's mom comes down the stairs and says to me, "You're either Jesus or Lucifer, and either way I'm scared." And I'll skip the weirdness, but I will say I had done a ritual for Ishtar and the goddess the night before. That ritual, I didn't know until a couple months ago, was actually taken from Revelations. It's the quote that made me, the passages that inspired me to do the ritual are in Revelations, sometime after the Virgin or before, around there. Revelations 21? The September 23, 2017 alignment. Listen, let me just tell you, I may well be the incarnation of Jesus Christ, that the second coming, the Son of Man. I've kept my eyes open on what I can, like anyone else who's faithful and cares about people, cares about the world. And it's been a long time since I saw people even claiming to be something where I thought I could say, "No, you're not." People don't make claims like that anymore. I don't see them do it, do you? The world's changed in the past few years, I guess. Since 2017, anyway. Changed, the entire world changed. 2018, it changed more. For me, my stories are my stories. If I'm going to talk to you about Jesus, Mary Magdalene comes to mind. If I had one stupid ass claim to fame, it would be that I taught author Dan Brown of Exeter, New Hampshire, that Jesus and Mary were married or in a relationship. And I taught on that at my parents' house at 487 Winnicott Road in Hampton, New Hampshire, in the year 2000. If you look in the front of Angels and Demons, you see his book. You see Linda George, Web Guru. That's my mom. Birth mom, supposedly. She said just because she shipped me out didn't make me her mother, so make her my mother. So I'm thinking maybe she was telling me the truth. Maybe she ain't. I want you to imagine, though, something. I want you to imagine that you're responsible for millions, billions of people hearing the idea that Jesus and Mary were in a relationship. Because I am. I mean, Dan's taking his share of the credit and the blame, and God bless him for that. Because I taught him because I wanted him to teach you all. And if Dan ever talks about me, or if anyone ever asks him the question about me, make sure someone's recording. I don't want to humiliate him, but now I want you to know that everything I tell you is true. I can't say definitively if I'm Jesus and it makes me sad to think that I'm Lucifer. Quetzalcoatl. I decided in 2012 I'd be ready by 2017 to be Quetzalcoatl. Then I knew that Quetzalcoatl was Jesus and Lucifer. And you can track this on my Johnny Ameru-Ryen Facebook page. Go back to 2012 and look. It's unbelievable. It's like a LARP, right? And sometimes I am acting with some of the shenanigans, stuff that you guys don't see, most likely. Half acting, half testing, half prodding, half looking for a way forward, because I'm in the dark sometimes, as much as anyone. More than anyone, sometimes more. As close to death as you can be while being alive. As close to being inside the womb you can be while still being alive. In utero. Back to the womb, said Kurt Cobain on his last album. Back to the womb, in utero. So I understand life and death and men and women pretty well. I understand sex pretty well. I love Mary Magdalene. I think what happened to Jesus and Mary is actually, it's a terrible story. It's like one part Braveheart love scene, one part Romeo and Juliet, one part horrible honeypot agency trick. You can Google it. They say that the stigmata basically is the closer you get to God, the more you suffer, the more the demons attack you. And I'm at times I want to stop talking to everyone, because at least the people online are, I love some of them, but if you talk to me, you're taking a chance, but at least now people aren't giving me shit for talking about UFOs and extraterrestrials and aliens and angels. I really was a pretty simple guy. Right up until I asked God for permission to seek God outside of religion. And that was I was probably like 20, 22, 22, 23 years old. And God gave me a sign, you know. I'm big on signs. We're big on signs. God's always been very gracious to me with the giving of signs, and I know many of you can relate. Then the question becomes, what do they mean? You know, and it fits, and it's a perfect picture. And the puzzle pieces will all come together, and you are on your way. You've made it somewhere. But remember the story of Prometheus? This has been on my mind a lot. I'm trying not to cry here. The story of Prometheus. He stole fire from the gods. Fire is knowledge, power. But it's like, then it becomes the story of Azazel. Azazel taught humans how to work with metals. And that turned into swords. And Jesus' line of those without a sword should sell their cape or their cloak and buy one. The modern equivalent is, of course, a modern sporting rifle, because they were going to fight the Roman army with those swords, possibly. But it was the Roman army, so it was army. So the modern equivalent is not sword. It is factually, undoubtedly, unquestionably, a modern sporting rifle, chambered in 6.8 SPC. The layman's terminology, which is incorrect, is still an AR, which is totally false. But it's a M4 chambered in 6.8, which is a proper round. So the fact that Jesus was ready to take his followers to war just seems to fall so short from what people retained from that he fought the bankers. They don't say he fought the bankers because the bankers were trafficking children, but I remember, and that's what was happening. It wasn't just children, but it was money traders. They weren't just trading money, they were trading money for people. It was child trafficking taking place in the synagogues on the Sabbath, which was Saturday. Saturday is the Sabbath. The Gregorian calendar is a calendar of commerce and moved the holy day to Sunday for the sake of convenience and blasphemy. So if you remember the Sabbath and you keep it holy, then you remember Saturday. You keep it holy. Do as I say, not as I do. Jesus was a bit of a reptilian. House of the wise serpent. Jesus said, have the wisdom of a serpent. I mean, who looks at a snake slithering around on the ground and says, oh, that looks like one wise serpent? Nobody. There's no reason to think so. There's no reason for that at all. He was referring to actual reptilians, which really, that's not even the point. That's a distraction coming out of my mouth right now. I'm sorry. He said, have the wisdom of serpents without adopting their nature, which is a way of saying, do as I say, not as I do. In a way. Doesn't mean he was a hypocrite. It means he was a little deeper into something than he wanted you to go. But how do you think I felt when I do this ritual? I'm awake and convulsing for 2.5 hours Easter morning. And I finally get some sleep after convulsing. I mean, it was full body convulsions. My stomach, um, not to be gross, but I mean, a sneeze, an orgasm, and death are all convulsions. So I didn't come, I didn't ejaculate like from an erect position, but I was dripping. I don't know, it's TMI, maybe. Sorry if you think it is, but this is the truth. I was dripping a lot and convulsing, curled up in the fetal position. And then my roommate came down and said, "You either Jesus or devil," and I was laughing for some reason, and she wanted to break a stool over my head. I had a vision of her doing it, and she had cut my head pretty good with the stool and the vision. And before she left, because she did leave for 5 days after saying, "You're either Jesus or Lucifer, and either way I'm scared." And she took my daughter too. But I had shit I had to deal with. Those 5 days were not easy. I had to eat salt and recover from whatever the hell had gone on. Ishtar is no joke. The goddess is no joke. The goddess is no joke. I never thought she was a joke. I never disrespected her as far as I know. Of course, who knows? I mean, she reminds me a little bit of Poppy, the song I Disagree. The goddess can disagree with you endlessly. Endlessly. It's like chasing a rabbit down a hole, through all the friggin' caves, coming back up, and you think you guys agree to be at one land, and she jumps down another hole. I Disagree by Poppy. I do love her. She got a lot on her mind lately, the goddess. I know she does. And Mary as well. My Mary. Yeah, I say my Mary. She lived with me for a year. She's a bit young by most people's standards. Fortunately, I've had a daughter myself who was 12 and decided to move on and have a relationship with a man and not listen to me anymore. That dude became her man. So when this 12-year-old and I were courting, eventually I warmed up to it. I actually had a good day. Maybe I should regret having that good day because I've had a lot of bad days since then. I don't know. My point is that the temptations, the temptresses, like women have great power and they don't seem to use it. I wonder, I want to ask some women, how do you see sexuality, sex, as it pertains to you and your vagina? It's a strange question. I think it's fucking weird, But it would be interesting if a woman asked me, "What do you think of sexuality and your penis?" And I would be like, if I, if I could look at her and not be a little bit repulsed, I'd be like, I don't know. What about sex spirituality and your vagina? Women receive, men give. I've gave just about all, as much as anyone, maybe more knowledge to mankind than anyone ever has, and I'm paying for it. And I'm not being paid yet either.